Hey Truth Seekers, it's Nathaniel with another deck profile. Today we'll be covering Silas, Faith, Hope, and Love. This is a tricolor deck. I wanted to try and challenge myself just a little bit more. This deck was actually one of my first decks. I was scrolling through an old phone that I had the other day, and I was reminded of my Silas Faith and Love deck. So I decided I wanted to see if I can upgrade that to what it would be today. So, without further ado, Silas has the ability that says once per turn you may turn one Faith power card from your discard pile to your hand. We will not be using that effect very much, but it is an option. Let's see here. We're going to start with our power cards. We have 4 Faith power. The reason why is because my goal is to get 3 Faith into my power pool, so that way I can activate my Armorino Ultra from Cost Trainers, which sends them to the discard pile. And once in the discard pile, I can activate the Endurance on my Stagnetic. So 3 of these are going to sit in the discard pile hopefully most of the game, so that way I can just keep activating my Stagnetics. But with it being a Preserved Faith and being a unique ability, I'll only be able to activate it once per turn. So I don't need to worry about activating it every single turn. Next up, we have 2 Hope and 2 Love. After activating Armorino level 3, Armorino Ultra, these 3 Faith power cards are going to sit in my discard pile, so I only need to have 1 Faith, 2 Hope, and 2 Love. There are some Animo that do cost 3 in this deck, so to try and make up for that, I have Prayers because it's versatile with it being able to be Faith, Hope, or Love. Alright, so hopefully I'll be able to replace my Faith power cards that I lose with these special power cards. Alright, next on we're going to move to our equipment. We only run 2 equipment cards in this deck, which are 2 Paul's Chains. Paul's Chains says the animal to whom this card is attached may not be activated, but may be discarded at any time during your setup phase. Once per turn, as long as this card is attached to an animal in your small group, you may search your deck for up to 2 level 1 animal and place them in your small group. If there's no room in your small group, this card has no use. Then we have 2 story cards, Giant Killer and Paused Maws. Paused Maws says place this card in your active Cine spot or next to it if it's currently occupied by another card. No opponent may reveal a Cine to you on their next turn. At the beginning of your next turn, remove this card as well as any copies of Paused Maws from your hand, deck, or discard pile from the game. Giant Killer says choose one of the following. Search your deck for a Mega Cine, reveal it to an opponent. This can only be done if your opponent isn't already facing a Cine, or if you're facing a Cine, you can return it back to the owner's deck and shuffle it into their deck. Alright, moving on to our Cines. We have Flipper. Flipper is a 7 defense Cine that has the ability that says if your opponent has 40 points or more, this Cine gains plus 10 defense and is revealed this side. So he's a 17 defense Cine. Then we have Judgeweed, which has the ability, that's an 8 defense Cine that has the ability that says as long as this Cine is active, your opponent may not reveal Cines. Then we have 1 Zapper King. Zapper King has the action that says your opponent may not play any level 1 Animo from their hand into their small group next turn. Then we have Venomoth. Venomoth has the ability that says as long as this card is active, your opponent may not activate Animo may not be activated in the same turn that they've been added to or grown in their small group. Then we have a 13 defense Cine is Grumble. Then we have Venomoth Mega, who is a 13 defense Cine that has the action your opponent may not activate any level 1 Animo on their next turn. Then we have Lorikai Mega, which has 14 defense, has the action says select up to one of your opponent's Animo in their small group, flip it over. As long as this Cine is active, that Animo may not be interacted with in any way. Then we have Fear Crow Mega Plus, has the action says your opponent may not play any cards from their hand on their next turn. Alright, that's it for our Cine Animo. We're going to move on to our Virtuous Animo with our Hope Animo. Start off with, we have 2 Hightail. Hightail has the Retreat ability. Says if this card's in your hand, you may choose to reveal it to your opponent and shuffle it back in your deck. If you do, draw 3 cards. Then we have 2 Aurora. Aurora has the ability that says if this Animo is in your small group, it provides 1 Hope power during your score phase. This may not be activated in the same turn this ability is used. I need to have access to power cards very quickly, and even if I don't have a hope power, I can just go ahead and play Aurora in my small group and treat it as a hope power. This way, I can activate Swimmer and actually get other power cards that I need. Swimmer has the action that says, search your deck for one standard power card, place it directly in your power pool, shuffle your deck afterwards. Next, we're going to have Glimmer level 1 from Cross Trainers. It costs 1 for 2. It's cost 1 for 2, or it becomes a 1 for 5 with the Faith Fellowship bonus. Then we have Glimmer level 2. Glimmer level 2 costs 2 for 6, or 2 for 10 with the Faith Fellowship bonus. All right, next up, we're going to be talking about our Love Animo. We have 2 Akinleo. Akinleo has the action that says you may search your deck for one Faith, Hope, or Holy Spirit power and add it to your power pool. So we can use this search for our Faith and Hope power. Next up, we have Potpourris and Servitude. Potpourri has the ability, it says, as long as this card's in your small group, ignore any effects from the actions of any Cinis revealed to you. And Servitude has the ability, says once per turn, you may draw 1 card for each Faith, Hope, or Holy Spirit Animo in your small group. It's pretty good. Next up, we have Quillo level 1, and we are using Quillo level 2 for Love. Quillo level 2 has this action that says search your deck for either 1 special power card or 2 standard power cards and add them to your power pool. Shuffle your deck afterwards. So this way, we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards that interact or become power cards. So that way we have access to the power that we need. That's one of the main downfalls of Faith right there, is because I need to have access to certain power cards, so I need to have a variety of Animo that can grab me a variety of power cards. Now, Agapesaur has the ability, says once per turn, discard 1 Faith or Hope Animo from your small group, search your deck for one Love Animo, and place it directly in your hand. Next is 2 Agapesaur level 2s. They cost 2 for 9 or become a 2 for 12 with the Hope Fellowship bonus, but they have this powerful action that says your opponent may not reveal a Cini to you on their next turn. This is going to empower us to be able to work around our opponent's Cinis by preventing your opponent from playing on them, which also can clog up their hand. All right. Next up, we have our first Ultra Animo of the deck, which is Flow Ultra. Flow Ultra has the swap ability. It says you may discard this card from your small group. If you do, search your deck for any 3 Animo, reveal them, place them in your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. Flow Ultra is a very powerful Animo. Helps us out a lot. Next up, we are going to talk about Hoofit level 1. Hoofit level 1 from Fearless has the ability, says this card's in your hand. You may choose to discard it. If you do, you may shuffle back any 3 power cards from your discard pile back in your deck, excluding this card. Then we have Sparkue level 1 from Cross Trainers, which is a 1 for 3 or a 1 for 5 with the Hope Fellowship bonus. And we can grow that into Spark Cube level 2. Spark Cube level 2 is a 1, which you have to discard, the Faith Power card, for 10. We have Spark Cube in this deck because he does help us discard power cards. And so in case we don't see our Armorino and we've seen all our power cards and we have Hoofit Ultra, we'll be able to combine these 2. So that way we can get those 3 power cards in our discard pile. So there's Spark Cube level 2. Next up is Stagnetic from Cross Trainers, who has the Preserve Faith ability. It says if there are at least 3 Faith power cards in your discard pile, this card has no activation cost. So what this is going to be able to do is it's going to be able to be activated for free once we acquire those 3 Faith power cards. All right. For our last 2 cards, we have Hoofit Ultra and Armorino Ultra. Hoofit Ultra costs 3 or 13, but you have to discard 2 power cards. Has the ability, says if this card's in your hand, you may choose to discard it. If you do, search your deck for 2 Faith power and add them to your power pool. So this makes our 10th card that's able to be activated or has the ability to get us power cards when we need them. Now, Armorino Ultra from Cross Trainers. Armorino Ultra is a 16 Virtue Point Animo with that costs a total of 3 faith, but you have to discard all of them. So the idea is I need to have a total of 3 faith power cards in my power pool. I can activate Armorino Ultra, which will allow me to activate Stagnetic for free. Or I can combine Spark Cube and Hoofit Ultra to discard 3, so I can activate Stagnetic for free. And that will give me space to activate something like Glimmer for a Fellowship bonus. So that would be the Fellowship bonus on Glimmer, the Fellowship bonus on Spark Cube, the 13 here, and this Stagnetic, for a total of 33, 33, 43 points. Or I can activate Armorino, activate Stagnetic for free, and still be able to activate 2 other Animo, which is why there is other Animo that only cost 1 in the deck, and some Animo that cost 2, so that way I can activate this Agape-saur and Glimmer. So, and then the rest of the game is basically me just playing a Stagnetic, activating it for free, while activating these guys for their Fellowship bonus. And with that, we're going to bring this video to a close. This has been our Silas, Faith, Hope, and Love deck. In the meantime, Truth Seekers, keep learning virtues and defeating sinnies.